Hello and Happy New Year. I'm Petty Officer Michael Wilkin. As we forge ahead in 2012, let us not forget the wonderful accomplishments the U.S. military has made in the past year. 2011 is a year that saw historic moments and changes in the Department of Defense. In the next half hour, we'll look back at some of the events that shaped the past 12 months. Theme throughout the year for the Department of Defense: budget efficiencies. Defense Secretary Robert Gates announced his plans to streamline and redirect Defense Department programs and personnel to create a more efficient department.
It is imperative for this department to eliminate wasteful, excessive, and unneeded spending.
But one area the department continued to make a top priority: helping prevent suicides. Army Vice Chief of Staff General Peter Corelli said there was a modest success in reducing suicides among active duty, but the rate rose among the Guard and Reserve. He said the challenge in 2011 was to keep building on the progress made, including resiliency training.
We know that resilient soldiers are less likely to try to commit suicide. We know that.
The New START treaty between the U.S. and Russia took effect with a signing ceremony in Munich, Germany. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and Russia's foreign minister signed and exchanged the final START documents at the International Security Conference. The treaty, supported by the Pentagon and approved by the Senate last December, limits each side to 1,550 nuclear warheads, down from 2,200. In March, a massive earthquake measuring 8.9 hit Japan. The quake, combined with the tsunamis it triggered, killed thousands of people and caused widespread destruction. The U.S. military responded with immediate humanitarian assistance, sending in thousands of service members along with aircraft loaded with much-needed supplies. Also in March, the U.S. military launched Operation Odyssey Dawn, which was part of the international military operation to prevent Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi from carrying out attacks on anti-Gaddafi forces. In April, Army Private Bradley Manning was found fit to face court-martial for charges he passed restricted material to the website WikiLeaks. His hearing began in December at Fort Meade, Maryland. In May, the long hunt for Osama bin Laden finally came to an end.
Tonight, I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden, the leader of al-Qaeda.
June was dominated by two major stories. The first involved a long-awaited announcement from President Barack Obama.
Thanks to our extraordinary men and women in uniform, our civilian personnel, and our many coalition partners, we are meeting our goals. As a result, starting next month, we will be able to remove 10,000 of our troops from Afghanistan by the end of this year, and we will bring home a total of 33,000 troops by next summer, fully recovering the surge I announced at West Point.
Under the president's plan, the troop level in Afghanistan will be reduced to around 67,000 by the summer of 2012. The transition process will be complete by 2014, and at that point, the Afghan people will be responsible for their own security. The president expressed confidence about the timing of this drawdown, saying it's been done from a position of strength.
Al-Qaeda is under more pressure than at any time since 9/11. Together with the Pakistanis, we have taken out more than half of al-Qaeda's leadership. And thanks to our intelligence professionals and special forces, we killed Osama bin Laden, the only leader that al-Qaeda had ever known. This was a victory for all who have served since 9/11.
And the other big story of June, the end of an era at the Pentagon. After 4.5 years as Defense Secretary, Robert Gates retired at the end of the month.
Secretary Gates has led our military in this time of war with impeccable skill and integrity and a staunch commitment to truth-telling, no matter how tough or even how uncomfortable that truth might be. No matter how high or how low in the chain of command that truth needed to travel.
Mr. Gates is credited with turning around the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Perhaps his most notable achievement was the improvements made in protection and treatment of service members. Mr. Gates often noted the country was at war every day he was secretary. And just before he retired, he made one final visit to Afghanistan to thank some of the men and women in uniform for what they gave him during his years as secretary.
I'll just say here that I will think of these young warriors, the ones who fought, the ones who keep on fighting, the ones who never made it back, till the end of my days.